بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وبعد اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وارزقنا فهما والحمد لله على كل حال ونعوذ بالله من حال أهل الضلال برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. First and foremost, we thank and we praise our nourisher, sustainer, provider, the omnipotent Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azza wa jal, and thereafter we send the choices of salutation, salam on the best of creation, our role model, chain of transmission, beloved messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. May the same salutations, blessings be upon his pure household, his companions, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower his blessings upon us all. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. I greet you all with the most authentic greeting in Islam, and that is the greeting of the people of Jannah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. We are honored and privileged once again to meet for our second episode in the Fiqh of Seerah, which is the jurisprudence and the law and the practical lifestyle of the Prophet ﷺ, and aspects that we will be tackling from a biographical perspective. So Fiqh Seerah, as we've mentioned in our previous sessions, that this segment will focus on the introductions of the Fiqh of Seerah, loosely translated as the jurisprudence of the prophetic lifestyle, or the laws that can be extracted from the prophetic lifestyle of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And last week we gave a overview, a bird's eye view, or a bird's view of the entire book that we shall be reading, which is Fiqh Seerah of Sheikh Saeed Ramadan Al-Bouti. This book you can find translated, as I've mentioned previously, and for the purpose of those who might be following us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all our different social media platforms, whether it be on WhatsApp or any other platform, they are able to follow us through the reading, as we will make this video available for them to follow. So without delaying any further, I shall go straight into the content for today. And for this reason, I shall share screen with you all to make it easier for those who would like to view the book that we are reading. So today we deal with the first. These are the topics that we shall discuss in this segment. The first topic is the importance of the prophetic lifestyle regarding the understanding of Islam. So, القسم الأول مقدمات أهمية السيرة النبوية في فهم الإسلام. The first part seems to go into the importance of the seerah. Then we speak about كيف تطورت, and we spoke about this bird's eye view. وكيف يجب فهمها اليوم. How did the writings of seerah develop over the years, and then also the fact that how did the writings develop, meaning the documentation of seerah, how did that develop, and how is it obligatory for us to understand the seerah in this day and age. So it is important for us to understand how should we understand the seerah in our day and age. This is of utmost importance. Then we go on to speak about the secret of why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose the Arabian Peninsula as the cradle of the spreading, right, of the nash'a of Islam, of how Islam will spread. Why did Allah use the Arabian Peninsula specifically? Why did Allah choose that? specifically. And then we discussed the Prophet ﷺ as the seal of the prophets, meaning why, or the Prophet ﷺ being the final prophet, right? Being the final prophet. And this is a very important purpose. And the relationship of the Prophet ﷺ's da'wah with the relationship of the other propagations and da'awat that previously that came before the Prophet ﷺ. And then we will end off with al-Jahiliyyah, the concept of Jahiliyyah in Islam. Okay, so this is an introduction to the Seerah. Tonight's discussion will be just about what are the sources that we will use in order to establish speaking about the life of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is very important. Why? Because we're dealing with history here, right? So these different types of approaches in terms of narrating, right, history, but very importantly is how we extract our history, right? So this is the reason that we will first speak about what is the importance of studying the life of the Prophet ﷺ in Islam. Okay, ليس الغرض من دراسة السيرة النبوية وفقهها مجرد الوقوف على الوقائع التاريخية. So here Sheikh Said says the objective and the aim of studying the Seerah, right, and the Fiqh of Seerah, it's not merely to stop by the historical incidents, ولا سرد, right, and not to wrap off those beautiful and those nice stories and events. ولذا فلا ينبغي أن نعتبر دراسة فقه السيرة النبوية من جملة الدراسة التاريخية. It is therefore imperative that we should not think, or we should not consider the discipline and the study and the science of fiqh of Seerah as a historical lesson. So this is not just a mere history lesson. This is not, he says, شأنها كشأن الاطلاع على سيرة خليفة من الخلفاء وعهد من العهود التاريخية الغابرة. Right? The way we deal with this is the same manner that we will look into the life of the caliphs, right? That have previously passed. وإنما الغرض منها. Okay, so the objective. Now he goes to identify what is the objective of studying Seerah. The objective, number one. So you can put this down as point one. The first objective, meaning the first point of importance, we can note down as to why we study the prophetic lifestyle and its jurisprudence, meaning the laws thereof. He says, أن يتصور المسلم الحقيقة الإسلامية في مجموعها مجسدة في حياته صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. That is a very important point. And the first point he makes here is that it gives the Muslim a visualization, apprehension of the true reality of Islam, right? متجسدة, right? مجسدة. So what this means is that the Muslim gets a full conceptualization, visualization of the true reality of Islam through the embodiment of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, after understanding the fundamental principles and axioms and laws, right, that are void and free, right, and that are stuck into the mind of the Muslim. Therefore, the discipline and the science of Seerah ليست سوى عمل تطبيقي, right? It is not just a theoretical implementation. يراد منه تجسيد أو تجسيد الحقيقة الإسلامية كاملة, right? The objective is not just to give a vocational implementation of the embodiment of the true reality of Islam in its entirety and its totality, right? In the example of the Prophet ﷺ, but rather it is the objective and the aim here, right, is that we write parts and we bring together these portions of his life, sallallahu and this portions, we can break it up into the following, and we could restrict the importance and the objective of studying the life of Nabi sallallahu in the following points, right? So the ahdaf at-tafsiriyah. So now I'm going to go into what are the detailed goals. Like, I'm going to actually break down, right? Let us break down this goal. So this is more than one objective, right? So the first objective of studying the science and learning the seerah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is to understand the personality of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam through his life, through his occupation, through the incidents that he lived. And this is to give affirmation and confirmation that the Prophet ﷺ was not merely a pure genius, unique characteristic that became unique because of his intellectual capacity. But the Prophet ﷺ was supported and assisted with revelation. Nabi ﷺ was assisted with wahi, and his success ﷺ comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is a very important point. One of the most important points is that we need to understand the Nabi ﷺ's life is unique in the sense that he was supported and aided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This genius, because people like to look at the Prophet ﷺ as a political leader, they like to look at the Prophet ﷺ as this genius that was able to, rule. But they forget that this authority, this political authority that the Prophet ﷺ was so good at, was through the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's a very important point. When we read the prophetic life, we need to read it with a light that the Prophet ﷺ was supported with revelation. That's number one. Number two, أن يجد الإنسان بين يدي صورة للمثل الأعلى, that we are able to have a conceptualization, a complete conceptualization of the Prophet ﷺ in all his affairs, right? And when we have such a detailed visualization of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, this now gives us a beautiful and clear constitution of what we should hold on to and how we should live our lives, right? And there's no doubt, right? ولا ريب أن الإنسان مهما بحث عن مثل أعلى في ناحية من نواحي الحياة فإنه واجد كل ذلك في حياة الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. So there's no doubt that any human being, right, regardless of his search in any aspect of the aspects of the life of of role models, right, you will find that these qualities and characteristics are found in our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he embodies it to the best. You don't find any better embodiment of these beautiful characteristics. It is therefore that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the Prophet sallallahu a role model for the entire human race, and this you can revisit in the chapter of Al-Ahzab. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the Messenger of God a beautiful example. The third objective is that human beings find in the discipline and the prophetic lifestyle that which helps them understand the Quran and able to taste the spirit and its objectives and its goals, because we find that many of the verses of the Quran, you are only able to explain and give a tafsir to it, and it only becomes apparent and clear and manifest through the events of the life of the Messenger and certain stances that he took. So we understand that the third objective of studying the life of Nabi is that you cannot understand the Quran, and that's why we will come to learn that the Quran is actually the first source of where we extract this life. You will see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it be in Surah Al Imran, if you read Surah Al Imran, you will see the life of Nabi being discussed. But the snippets that you find in the surah, right, are explained here in the Seerah, okay? But those snippets could be understood through the Seerah. And that's why you find, like in Surah Al Imran, you find these snippets, you find in Surah Anfal, some of the snippets, Surah Tawbah, you also find some of these snippets, Surah Al-Fath, you find some of the snippets of his lifestyle. So this is the first source that we extract his life from, okay? And when you want to understand those incidents and those stances within his life, you cannot understand those verses. The point number 3 is trying to say you cannot understand these verses, right, unless you actually come back to the life of the Prophet. The fourth objective, right, is that we have a compilation, right? The Muslim has a holistic blueprint through studying the life of the Messenger as أكبر قدر من الثقافة والمعارف الإسلامية صحيحة, to the largest extent of cultural and Islamic, authentic Islamic sources, which is based on, or which is primarily speaking about Aqidah, theology. It's speaking about personal status law, it's speaking about law, it's speaking about ethics. And we know that the life of the Prophet ﷺ was a true embodiment of these aspects, whether it be our ideology as Muslims, the way we believe, our monotheism belief system, that is embodied in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. And you can see this apparent in the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. So it's number 4 is to have a blueprint through studying the life of the Prophet ﷺ. And then number 5, أن يكون لدى المعلم والداعية الإسلامي. And this is specifically to people that want to propagate Islam, and to the alim, and to the person that is regarded as a propagator. And we are all propagators of Islam. We should all try to propagate the message of Islam. We should all try to give da'wah. And this is what we come to learn of the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, that everyone is a da'i. Everyone should be calling people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you study the life of the Prophet ﷺ, you come to see that this prophetic lifestyle, right, should be the first point of departure of any person that is trying to call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why he says, Namudaj Hayyun, because the life of the Prophet ﷺ is a living example. A living example that gives us pathways of teaching people tarbiyah, teaching people education. This is how we know that the Prophet ﷺ was the best teacher, the best advisor, the best upbringer, the best nurturer, right? He was virtuous. He exerted himself. right? To the extent that we find the best of, I would say, pious pathways, right? Or we could say social welfare pathways that were that is good enough, right, to give to our children. It's good enough to give to our community. Okay, and these aspects are embodied in tarbiyah, it's embodied in nurturing, and it's embodied in education. And you will find that this goes throughout the different stages of the dawah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ was always nurturing and teaching. Two aspects we find in number 2, that the Prophet's life was a living example of teaching and tarbiyah. Okay, so this is why any person that wants to call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, any person that wants to give da'wah, right, and say people must come closer to Allah, they have to go back to the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. And that's why we see وَإِنَّ مِنْ أَهَمِّ مَا يُجْعَلْ سِيرَةُ رسول الله وافية بتحقيق هذه الأهداف كلها أن حياته عليه الصلاة والسلام شاملة لكل النواحي الإنسانية والاجتماعية التي توجد في الإنسان من حيث إنه فرد مستقل بذاته أو من حيث إنه عضو فعال في المجتمع. We see that one of the most important things that makes the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ being able to realize and achieve all of these goals is that the life of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was inclusive and exclusive to all aspects of human life, all aspects of social life, all aspects that is related and connected to human beings, in the sense that he was an independent individual in his essence, or in the sense that he was a productive citizen to his community. So the life of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam presents نماذج سامية للشاب المستقيم, right? It presents pathways, noble pathways for the upright youth in terms of his way of how he would live, his style, his honesty with his people and his colleagues. It also presents a beautiful example of how a human being should call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through wisdom, through maw'idah al-hasana, advice, but beautiful advice. And that is very important. And he exerted himself to the extent that they say muntaha at-tagha fi sabil iblagh risalati, right? He went to the utmost, and we will see this in the Seerah of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as we explore the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But there was one point that I wanted to mention here, was that we see that when you call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it should be through wisdom and through good advice. And some people say, we shouldn't argue also about, we shouldn't argue about religion, and we stay away from arguments because this kills the heart and kills the spirit. The arguments that kill the spirit are the blameworthy arguments, okay? But we see that one of the methodological approaches to da'wah is actually to debate. That's why, and in fact, I believe that debating, right, with hikmah, and debating with maw'idah al-hasana is an instruction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah says, Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'idati al-hasana. Make da'wah, right, through wisdom and good advice, but also wajadilhum billati hi ahsan. and also debate them, meaning engage them in polemics, right, with that which is better, with that which is more manifest, with that which is not ambiguous. This is actually one of the Quranic instructions and injunctions that is invoking human beings to engage in discussion, debate, and polemics that is based on set fundamentals and principles that is striving to realizing the truth. Okay, not debates that, trying to prove that you're always right. And we see that he says this is it could be the life of the Prophet ﷺ is an example for every person. It's an example for the president of the state. Okay, it's an example for the spouse, right, in terms of his beautiful affairs and interactions that he had with his wife. It's an example for the father in terms of his softness and his affection, his compassion towards everyone in his family. It is an example and a role model to every male in terms of his rights, obligations towards his children and his spouse. Okay, it's an example to the political leader, it's an example to the militant, and it's an example to the politician that is truthful, the politician that is that spreads honesty, the politician that is not willing to sell himself and his self-dignity in compensation for injustice. It's an example for the holistic Muslim, in every aspect, in terms of justice, in terms of fulfilling his obligatory rights towards his creator, in terms of worship, in terms of his humility to his creator, in terms of his interaction with his family and his colleagues. Through this, we see that the prophetic lifestyle and the study and discipline of the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, ليست إلا إبرازا. It's not only but except a manifestation of all of these aspects, human aspects, all embodied in one of the most lofty and high esteemed clinical visualizations, conceptualizations, apprehensions embodied in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Inshallah ta'ala, on that note, we shall stop and we shall continue in our next session. Please, we would encourage everyone that watches our video, when this video ends, please don't forget to subscribe, share the love, and let everyone also have the opportunity to be a part of this class in the future, inshallah ta'ala. And please do keep us in your prayers on behalf of the Rondevlei Islamic Society Imamat and the committee. We would like to wish you in these challenging times to stay safe, stay at home, and please, as the relaxation of the lockdown continues into level 3, remember it is still locked down. Remember that the next few weeks there will be a major spike. This will be the highest numbers that we will see in the upcoming weeks. Please, my brothers and my sisters, I urge you all to make an exerting effort to keep wary, be cautious. And we know that our religion teaches us that the preservation of life takes precedence over everything. The preservation of life takes precedence over everything. So please, my beloved brothers and sisters, stay safe, make dua, and all the best. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Shukran. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.